Welcome back. Every great story has a beginning, and Jim Boeheim's is certainly no different. The Hall of Fame coach grew up in nearby Lyons, New York, a town with a population just over 5,500. In the late 50s and early 60s, he played basketball for Lyons High. News 10 NBC's Breland traveled down to the coach's hometown and has a look back at Boeheim before Syracuse basketball.
Thank you, Rich. Well, most college basketball fans know that Jim Boeheim's name is practically synonymous with Syracuse and their basketball team. But Boeheim's personal basketball journey didn't start there. In fact, it started right here, right behind me in this building at Lyons High School. Across the street from Boeheim's childhood home in Lyons sits Stoney's Pizzeria. This particular morning, a few of the men who know the Hall of Fame coach simply as Jimmy are celebrating their pal's latest success over breakfast sandwiches and coffee.
I was proud and excited and happy to be at Jimmy's 1,000th win. I was lucky enough with my son to get a ticket to go. It was an outstanding game.
Very happy for him. That was probably never his goal. He always concentrated on the next ball game, but 1,000 wins is 1,000 wins.
Before Boeheim became one of the greatest coaches in college sports, he was Jimmy, an average kid playing basketball at Lyons High School. His parents ran a funeral home on Canal Street, and they lived in the same building. Although people at the time couldn't have possibly predicted his future stardom, even from a young age, the residents of Lyons knew that little Jimmy was special.
I was on the police department back in those days. He was probably 7 to 8 years old, and the funeral home was there, and the police station was across the street. Well, he'd always be in the backyard at nighttime, dribbling the basketball. And people would get upset. In the summertime, they'd get upset. So finally, the chief told me to go over and say something to him. I did. I talked to him for a while. And so this lady comes in the next day to complain about it, and I could hear the chief. The chief was saying to her, "Look, Jim Boeheim might be famous one of these days." And it turned out to be that way.
Yeah, I remember, probably 3 nights a week playing basketball behind the funeral home until 10 o'clock at night, and Jimmy was a good friend.
We knew back then that Jimmy was something special. He had the moves, he had the shot. The only thing maybe he didn't have was the speed.
Although he's had banner after banner unveiled at Syracuse, Boeheim never managed to grab a major title in high school. In 1962, his senior season, Lyons lost the Section 5 championship to East Rochester. He did secure 2 divisional titles during his career and is still fondly remembered for his game day antics.
He got a nickname Sid after Sid Borger, who was an NBA official. And the reason we gave that to him is he liked calling fouls on him, but not on anybody else.
I guess what I always think about him is when he's on the basketball court, that's all you see is arms and legs just flaying. I mean, because he just didn't have that speed, and you might not think he had coordination, just the way he went up and down the court, and we always got a kick out of that. But he could shoot, he could pass, he could dribble. One game that we were involved in, or he was involved in, was the Canandaigua game. We scored 40 points in the first quarter. Yeah, you heard me, 40 points in an 8-minute quarter. Jimmy happened to score 21 of those 40 points, and he put on quite a show. It was an outstanding game that night.
Outside of the pizzeria, a sign reads, 1,000 wins, no asterisks. It's something that everyone inside firmly believes. Although they might have vacated 101 of those victories, the one thing the NCAA can't take away is the immense pride that Lyons has for their hometown man.
We're really proud of him, and what I've always been proud of mostly is that he never forgot his roots. He's always mentioned he was from Lyons, New York.
You can say, "Oh my God, there's a kid that made it." It's fantastic. It really is.
In the town of Lyons, Breland, News 10, NBC Sports.